Yeah. All right, buddy. We're live now, so so
All
swear
right.
away if you have to, you rascal. Hey,
What do you,
Lonnie Sweet. So I have a nice picture of you with your famous chef client, Mark. How do you pronounce his last name?
Borgione.
Borgione. Yeah. So there's a great picture of
Borgione.
you. You're in a red sweater. He's nice and tan with a mohawk. You
I'm
kind of
wearing a red sweater.
well, like a red sweater thing. Yeah, red sweater.
I don't even know if I have a red sweater. I'm worried about where you got that picture from.
I hope your wife is not listening because she probably bought you that sweater.
No, I'm not saying it's not a nice sweater. I'm just saying to you, I don't know if I have a red sweater.
Well, in this picture, you're wearing it. So whether you were
Yeah,
highly intoxicated and Mark let you borrow his sweater, I'm not
it's
sure.
possible.
But so there, it
Very
is
possible.
possible. So there's a I have a nice picture of you guys, and then I have your name of the company. I have your Twitter handle at Sweet5151, and then it's the Connect Group. And you guys are based in Manhattan. Did you just move your offices, or did you get the same
No, I
office?
did. Yeah, I just moved over to 36th Street, so I'm on 36th and 8th in one of those WeWork spaces, which is it's been great actually.
Awesome. So all right,
Yeah,
all right. So I prepped you
still in
on this.
Manhattan. Yes.
God bless you. All right, so just talk a little bit about. Start off by just telling your story. How where you started off. At UMass, and kind of what was your journey from there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to make it brief, but yeah, I think when I went to school, I grew up in Massachusetts and was kind of always the kid that worked through high school and took pizzas, and I spent my days at school, my afternoons at football practice, and my nights focused pizzas, just because, to be totally honest with you, I liked it. So when I went to school, I was lucky enough to fall ass backwards into the sports management program, which was at that time not what it is today at UMass. Today I think it's one of the best in the country. Back then it was one of the original ones, but I'm not really sure people knew, what sports management was at the time. Not that I'm that old, but went through the program. I think that I started working probably my sophomore year in terms of trying to get into the industry. And as you know, we obviously met right around that same time. And it was always, for me, just kind of something I enjoyed doing. I think when I first started out, it was more about doing events. We did this NFL flag stuff, and you entrusted me to try to, well, why the hell you trusted me, but you did, to start trying to open up, new Ys and new NFL flag programs up in the Northeast or Boston from where I was from. I think it kind of gave me the bug a little bit. I mean, I really liked being out on football fields, and I really liked putting up homes and working with kids and taking an empty space and creating something. And so, that kind of started the itch for me. Went to school. I worked for the Patriots during the season while I was still in college. I worked for the Mullen Center. I still put pizzas. I kind of really wanted to try to get my foot in anywhere I could. I think everybody always says it's not who you know, not what you know, but who you know, which I believe in, but I think it's also what you know once you get there. So I kind of really focused on trying to meet as many people as I could. So, did that, I had the opportunity to take an internship at Wolf Associates right afterwards, which was really a good thing. I started working in the tennis space. I ended up running a pro tennis tournament up in Boston, when I was 22 years old. More out of need because I didn't end up hiring anybody above me. And so I did that, and then moved to the Tennis Hall of Fame for a short period of time. And then eventually, I should say step back. When I was running that tennis tournament, what I realized pretty quickly was events are awesome and they're a huge piece of what's going on, but the only way an event actually ever happens is if somebody sells something for it. So you need the money to produce an event. And so it was that time that I started to realize that I had to give for gab. I liked people, and I enjoyed trying to put together deals. And I realized that maybe sales was a little bit more appropriate for what I wanted to do, which was make money and build business and, be kind of indispensable. And so after the tennis tournament, I went to the Tennis Hall of Fame. I started selling corporate partnerships. Realized Newport in the winter was not right for me. I had an opportunity to actually take an internship. So it took a step back to move down to New Jersey. Full story. I literally was going down for an interview with a company in Central Jersey. On my way back, I called the guy that I knew through my cousin and said, "Hey, I'm literally drive by your office, and he had worked at SFX at the time. So, can I come in for an interview? I think this was a Tuesday. He said, yeah, come on, stop by. I went in, just kind of had an honest conversation with him. I got offered an internship on that Thursday, and I started that Monday. So I thankfully lived in a furnished apartment in Newport. I packed up my little Honda Civic without a place to live, and I drove down to New Jersey. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, lived down here. She was at home. Stayed with her, stayed at a hotel. I found a place to live, and then, 16 years later, I'm still here. But again, the idea was really to start selling for people. I worked in the talent marketing division over there. Started selling athletes and finding endorsement deals and speaking engagements and appearances, and kind of that really was my foray into the sales side. And that's awesome. It was just a matter of getting out there, meeting people, trying to close deals, trying to learn the business. SFX was a pretty entrepreneurial place where I didn't really have a lot of mentors, and there were some guys that I looked up to, and I still do now. But it wasn't very heavily managed. So it was really much more, here's a phone book, here's a client list, go find deals. And I think that was kind of a blessing and a curse. And the blessing was it really forced me to go learn how to sell, especially that I didn't have as much infrastructure to grow underneath people. So, I did that, that's the for 3.5 years. Got recruited away to a very small company that ended up going belly up in months. I ended up landing at ING, spent 3 years over there. Got recruited away again, and then that company that I was with ended up going belly up in about 1.5 years. And I guess after 2 of those experiences, I realized I wanted to do this on my own and didn't want to put the fate of my life, my family, in somebody else's hands. So, I started, what was then Connect Sports and Entertainment, which is now the Connect Group, about 8 years ago, actually, next month. And the premise was selling for other people, teams, leagues, agencies, properties, being kind of a resource and using my network kind of on a higher level to go close deals. Was 3 years into that. Was having some decent success. Wasn't really having a ton of great properties to sell. And I met a guy who was up to win this culinary show called Next Iron Chef. His name is Mark Forgione. And you need an agent, you need a manager. And so I started representing him and started getting into the culinary side of things. Realized it was a pretty big white space, an opportunity for me to take what I learned in sports and start applying it to food. And so I pivoted my whole business about 5 years ago, focused much more on the food space. And that's what I'm doing now. Building a full service agency that's very specific to the food and drink space. So as I've been telling people lately, the sport marketing agency just replaced the word sports and put food and drink in that. So that's what I'm doing now. I represent a handful of chefs. Still represent Mark, represent a girl Michelle Bernstein in Miami, chef here in New York, and Johnny Uzzini, and now starting to work more with brands up and kind of pick up this culinary space. That's it, man. That's me on the soapbox.
Well, anytime that you can replace sports and entertainment with food and booze, that's, very, very, you were never an idiot there, sweet man.
My waistline.
So, think about this for a second. What did you learn from working? And it seems like a lot of the places you've been, certainly like SFX and IMG, a little bit more corporate structure, but at the same time, very entrepreneurial. How did the skills that you learned there just kind of transfer over being an entrepreneur yourself?
It's funny. It's a good question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that. I think you learn some things that you're good at, your things you're not good at. As a kid growing up in this space, it's really hard to kind of step back and look at your career from a macro level. You're so, at least I was so focused on the day-to-day and closing deals. And I've always been fearful of not succeeding, right? So in an environment like that, it's super easy to kind of come to that, which is good, right? That's what's broken. That's what, forced me to get there first in the morning and leave last at night. Was I didn't want to fail, right? I just wanted to close deals. And that was my objective. I think when you're in an environment like that, and SFX was very different than IMG because at the time it was going through acquisition, right? And so when I technically started SFX, we're still in the ISI office. They just acquired, the ISI name was still in the door. So I was there to kind of see how all these companies kind of came together and how leadership kind of came together and some of those successes, some of those failures. But at the end of the day, they put us all in the talent marketing group in a room and said, here's your clients, go find deals. which was really neat. It was a really good experience, and be able to pick up the phone and call and say, again, as a 24-year-old kid, I represent John Alexander, who just won the Super Bowl, who just won the NFL MVP. Representing Art Krause, who at the time was the highest trophy winner. I represented, a couple quarterbacks, starting quarterback, Tony Banks at the time, or Elvis Burback, or, working on Jerry Rice. It was an awesome opportunity. I mean, to be able to pick up the phone and call people and say that we represented those guys, great. And I think you just learn. I mean, you learn kind of leverage, you learn how to pull songs, and it was a huge part of what we were doing. I think it's just a matter of, again, it was a good opportunity for me to learn how to sell, which I think, to me, is the most important thing. And again, if there's kids looking for this in college, around school, whatever it may be, for me, understanding that revenue is king, right? And if you're going to try to grow in an industry, there's only really two kinds of people in every industry. You're either an expense center or you're a revenue center. That's it at the end of the day. So for me, if you're a revenue center and you're doing well, you really control your own destiny. If you're an expense center, you're just sensible. Right? Things get cut, and they have to make hard decisions. There's always an individual. It's your and use your target then if you are making 4 extra salary in a company. So that's kind of really what I learned from it. Actually, it was a little bit of a different beast. It was definitely more corporate. There was a lot more assets there. There were everybody was under one roof. And so for me, I was always really kind of decent at navigating the ING fit. I sat in the broadcasting coaches division, but I was really to the consulting division or the fashion side or the media side to figure out how I could kind of source opportunities there. But again, I was hustling, and I was 27, 28 years old, or whatever it was at that time. I was grinding it. I mean, I was trying to meet as many people as I could, leverage it as much as I possibly could. I knew I wouldn't be there forever, but I'm not a corporate guy. I'm not really good at the politics. So I knew there was an arc for me to be there, and I just wanted to get the most out of it. And that was really my intent when I was there.
So how do you like owning your own company now? I mean, I know it's scary and rewarding, the whole thing, but you guys are growing, right? You're adding more bodies.
Yeah.
Your business is growing. Is it if do you look at it now? Somebody coming out of college and or just been in the workspace for a year or two. I think all these these millennial millionaires. Everybody starts looking at it. Would you suggest or recommend to spend some time in a corporate structure because that has prepared you as an entrepreneur? Or do you say, hey, listen, you find something, you love it, just go after it?
I think everybody's different, man. Listen, owning your own company, I've been saying this for years, is, for me at least, it's kind of like being manic depressive, right? You wake up one morning, you say, this is the greatest thing in the world. I'm so happy that I did this, and look, I got this freedom and this flexibility, and the sky's the limit, and I'm making my own decisions. The next morning you wake up and say, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
It's the 15th,
Right.
and nobody's just sent me a paycheck, right? And I got to go hunt for this money, and I'm looking at my 2 kids and my wife and my mortgage, and how am I all going to make this work? And you wake up the next morning, you're like, fresh day, let's go out and do this. So I think it really depends on the personality. I don't think everybody should own their own business. I don't think it's for everybody. I think you need a certain stomach for it. And I think you need to really be able, you have to be risk tolerant, right? If you're a risk averse person, it doesn't make sense to own your own company unless it's okay for you to lose, right? So
Right.
for me, again, it goes back to that fear of failure. I'm not willing to lose. I don't have the ability to. So it's just a matter of putting your big boy pants on every day and waking up and still here early in the morning. I'm not leaving as late as I used to, but I'm still working at night when I get home. There's a lot more on the table, a lot more risk. I think there is something to be said about working inside a structure. I mean, if it's from a sport perspective, I always thought working in a minor league baseball team was one of the smartest things you could do. You keep your hands on everything, right? You're pulling parts, selling sponsors, selling tickets, you're looking at different structures, doing promotions, you're involved in advertising. A place where you can really learn everything and figure out what you love to do. It's really important. I love the stuff. I love talking to people. I love relationships. I don't love the accounting stuff, right? So, if you had to put me in a sports accounting job or a connor, I'd lose my mind. So I think it's super important to figure out what you like and what you think that you're good at or what you want to become great at, to figure out where that is and how it is and kind of evolve that thing. One of the only ways of doing that is time. Do it. But yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. But some
You said,
people want to do it on my own. And that's great. That wasn't for me. But I think there's a lot of value to be able to work in a bigger environment, build relationships, and learn from other people.
you said something before that I wanted to talk about, and it's perfect because self-awareness is something that I think you get later on in life as you go through. You fail, you survive,
Yeah.
you have some wins, and you get to know what you're good at, and you get to know what you suck at. And
I will tell you, Robbie, that's the one thing over the last 2 years. When I went through the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, what you just said is the one thing that I'm trying to work on every single day. And it's not easy. It's an ego check to realize what you're not good at, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the hardest thing in the world for successful people to realize, or people that have some type of ego or desire. It's to realize, the most important thing is to realize what you're not good at. And if you're going to be a leader and you're going to run a company, find out people that are better at what you're not good at and let them do it. Right? And that's hard. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's hard for me, at least. I mean, I'm aware of it now, but I can tell you right now, 10 years ago, I never would have thought that. I was a phone in China shop. Like, give me something to do, and I'll fucking figure it out. And it's just, I think at this point, to your point, what you just said, as you get older, you become aware of it. You realize there are ways to accomplish the same thing. I was playing a game the other night. I was playing this power game outside the other night, and I said to the guy next to me because we were playing. We played a pretty heated match, and I said, I keep saying Kate Manning to myself. And what I meant by that was, it's okay to win a Super Bowl throwing 141 yards. That's okay. Right? The objective was to win the Super Bowl, right? Which he just did. He didn't have to throw 350 yards. He threw 141 yards during that game. He didn't need to win the end. He was walking out in sunset, with a Super Bowl ring, right? That takes time. 39 years old. It takes time to figure that out. More importantly, be okay with that, right? Let his ego aside and say, this is the game. I'm not the guy that I used to be. There's other ways to win this. I think that comes with maturity, for sure.
Oh, without a doubt. And it is the hardest thing, especially when you work inside a corporate culture, or when you're working in a very, when you're working with a lot of A-type personality people in a very progressive and competitive environment. Everybody wants to win. And when you want to win, you think you're the smartest person there. You think you're the hardest person there. You think everybody around you is an idiot. And I tell people sometimes when I have young employees that come out, and the first thing I tell them, if I see that in them, I say, don't think everybody is stupid. Don't think you're the smartest person in the room, because I've been around a lot of very smart people, and they said nothing. Although they said very eloquent things, at the end of the day, they said nothing. And so they spend so much time trying to prove how smart they are, and how many times I got to hear where they went to college. And
Right.
Dude, you're 35, 40. I don't give a shit where you went to college. It doesn't matter at this point.
20 years ago.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Where you went to college doesn't matter. It really doesn't, unless you're studying something very specific. But give me somebody who's a grinder, who figures stuff out, right? Who's nice to people, who's good to get along with, who's creative. All of those things. You don't need to go to Harvard or Yale to have those traits.
In a big corporate structure, Robbie, that's difficult. It's even more difficult to do because, again, you know me well enough to know that I'm not good at the politics. I'm just not. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I find it it's just not good. But there are people that are very good at working the political system inside an organization.
Oh yeah,
very good. They end up spending 20 years in the same place. They end up becoming the most senior leadership, even though maybe there's other people more qualified, because they're great at that.
Right.
It's really hard to put your shit aside, your ego aside, and allow other people to be successful in a big entity, because you run the risk of getting run over.
Right.
Or getting stepped above, or somebody being a little bit more aggressive. So, that's a challenge, right, to figure out how to be super aggressive, right, but at the same time allow other people to succeed around you. It's hard to do in a big company. It's just hard. Not that it's impossible, because people do it every day. It's more difficult. For me, it's easier because it's my company, right? I can, if other people are successful around me, it makes my company stronger and better. But again, even that part, they can use the LinkedIn's still working.
Right.
You know, girl in my office got to my office. I was flying to San Francisco the other day. I'm typing out this, stupid, website tree, wireframe. And I was just sent an email. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, you're better at this thing. If you just please do this. Like, this is, I don't know why I'm sitting here struggling over trying to do something that I know you can do much easier than me. That was hard. I mean, it was not easy for me to do that. But again, I think it comes a little bit from the 30s, understanding, being more self-aware. Maybe some people have that in their 20s. Most people don't. I know I did.
Right. Well, look at you now, mister. You're out there cutting up sirloin steak and pouring drinks in high-end spots, buddy.
Yeah, I'm working behind the bars, so. I'm on the wrong side of the counter there still.
Well, I tell you, man, I'm proud of you, buddy, and I love you in that red sweater. It brings out your eyes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing I'll say, and if kids are listening to this, because it is, for me, learning how to sell, whether it's something you're comfortable with or want to do or don't want to do, it doesn't really matter. Everybody sells as part of their life. Everybody. Whether it's to your wife or to your friends or to your kids or to whatever it may be. That trait and being comfortable selling or comfortable asking for something and understanding that process is critical. It's absolutely critical. And I really, again, for me, when I look back at math, the best class I ever took was at Hagen Super Class. And it was the sales, and that's where sales instead of execution. It was forced me to learn that, forced me to go in front of people, forced me to get rejected. It sucks, but you got to do it. So that is the single most important thing, and even more so in millennials, because people don't communicate the same way that they used to, right? Whether it's text message or email, the art of a conversation, what me and you are having right now, Robbie, is getting lost. And it's super scary, right? 2 young kids, and I know you got young ones from college. That is really scary to me, right? Because the art of communication, the art of creating relationships, and the art of that's where deals get done. They don't get done, just by sending a really smart idea, right? They get done through relationships, understanding people, understanding their businesses, and asking the right questions, and being able to read their body language, and being in front of them. That's what deals get done. And so I think it's really important for colleges, kids to put down their phone, get in front of people, build relationships. That for me is when my kids, I'll tell you right now, that's what I'm going to try to focus on more than anything. Whether they want to sell or not, just being able to communicate with people, talk to people, put down that freaking phone, and use that as an asset as they kind of grow up.
Yeah, it's something that, whether you like it or not, social media is here to stay, and how you utilize it, it does replace that, hey, I'm going to take you out to lunch to, let's connect on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. And, so I think there's a totally different type. And I talk about this a lot, Lonny, with people, especially because
it's a tool, right?
It's a tool. It's a tool, but it's not going backwards. People aren't going to put their phones down. People aren't going to stop using social media, So how you utilize that, there's a science to it and there's a methodology to it that is so different. Yeah, it's so different in how you now prospect, whether it's cold calling, I agree, is dead, to a certain.
Let me ask you a question for a second, right? If you're a brand, right, you've got X amount of dollars to spend, right? You've created this awesome email relationship with somebody. There's some good ideas, and maybe there's an opportunity to do this together. You go have a lunch, you go have a dinner, and all of a sudden that person lacks self-confidence, or they lack awareness, they lack something, right? And you're going to trust them with your money to either put on an event, to create a campaign, to create some advertising, to put them in front of somebody else representing your brand, right? If they're not what they seem to be online, right? Because listen, we're all part of Facebook, right? It's all bullshit. Facebook is all crap. Everybody puts up smiley faces, they must put up what's real, right? When you meet somebody and you actually have a chance to shake their hand or actually see them, that's when some of this realness comes out, right? And so I don't think it's ever going away. I get it, and I think there is going to be at some point this saturation point, right? I don't know how many, but I don't use everything. I don't know how to use Snapchat.
Right.
I just don't. Too much of it, right? So there's going to be a point where there's going to be some regression. It's not going away at all. But that art of looking somebody in the eye right? There's always going to be a trust factor when you're creating relationships and doing deals. It's really hard to establish real trust online. Now, listen, the millennial generation in 20 years is going to be senior leadership. Maybe they're going to be more comfortable doing that. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. Because I think as you mature and you get older, the cream that's going to rise to the top are going to be the ones that have the ability to create interpersonal relationships. The ones that don't, because they're stuck behind a computer or they're only laying only on social media, only on email, only on text, they're going to hit a barrier. They're going to hit a ceiling, right? Because you have to be able to talk, right? Cocktail parties, dinners, golf courses, whatever the hell you want to say. If you don't have the ability to establish that connection, you're going to hit a ceiling.
When you get a handwritten note from your grandparents or your aunt, how special is that?
Dude, if I had the ability to do that, like if I had handwriting that was legible, which I don't, I would do that all the time.
Yeah, dropping notes. Yeah,
it's
dropping.
Awesome. I get it from people. I had a dinner with somebody the other day. The guy's actually the head of sales for Twitter, right? I was having a dinner with him and his wife, who also worked with somebody called Casement, right? We just had a dinner just to get to know each other. That wasn't anything sales. It wasn't anything. Let me know, just to say thank you for dinner. A handwritten note. I thought it was the coolest thing. You didn't need to do that. But when you stop and think about that, the idea that you took the time to take out a note card, to write on it, to, address the envelope. I don't care if you did it or how you do it, regardless of that. But the fact that you took the time, the thought to do that, means more than the note stuff. Right? Email is super quick and easy to do. It's thoughtful. Right? You're right. A handwritten note, it's awesome. I mean, listen, Forge does it at his restaurant, right? So, when he knows people are coming in for special occasions there, he'll write a handwritten note, place it on their plate before they come in. Hey, heard it's your birthday tonight. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for sharing this night with us. I can't tell you how many people say that was one of the best things I've had in the It's that little small personal touch that adds everything.
It does. It does. And the more businesses that remember, it's not about anything else but the customer, right? It's the first, or the client. It's the number one thing. Listen, take away cash flow and revenue, and that's top line, but that's all we have. The product. And if you're in a service business like us, it is the customer, the client, and those special things go so far. Disney's made up, a multi-billion-dollar business out of those little things, and so I agree. But listen to us, we're like the two grouchy old men now. We are.
Listen, we're both in the emotion business, so I mean, the truth is, sports and food are the same thing. They're emotion business, right? You're going to a game because you want to get excited. About something, right? Really, that's why people go to games. I have this. I don't know if I said it to you. I say it to everybody, right? For me, when I walk into a ballpark, any baseball field, and I see the grass for the first time, it's like I'm 10 years old with my dad again. I can feel it. I can smell what Fenway Park looks like. It smells like. I know what it looks like. It's like it was yesterday. That's what emotion is all about. That's what's so great about sports marketing. That for me is what's so great about this food and drink market, because it's the same thing. Right? If I smell a banana bread or I smell something that my mother used to make, it puts you back in the same emotional state. Selling is not that different. Right? A good salesperson knows who the hell they're talking to, or a good brand manager or a good partner knows who they're talking to, knows their brand. It's about emotion. How do you connect with people on an emotional level? Because that's where decisions are made, that's where impactful relationships are built, that's where things are purchased. It's at that emotional level. And that's my fear about social media. It's very easy to strip out that emotional component and either be misguided, meaning you're not always communicating what you want to be communicating. And that's where I think this next generation really, I hope, is focusing more on that, being more self-aware of that.
Awesome. Well said, buddy. Well said, Professor. Sweet. That was great. Listen, thanks for trying this. This is a 2.0 version for you and I, so I think we got it right this time. So Lonnie, tell it.
By the way,
So
that's never going to happen again. So if that tape this now, I'm done.
no,
I'm like old school.
yeah,
On his when he just debated and he said, well, I don't even know what just happened.
yeah. You're like Rodney Dangerfield. You just left out all the gory parts about paying off union and cops and all that other stuff that you do. Yeah,
It's all part of the process.
that's all part of the process. So the Connect group, Lonnie Sweet, at Sweet5151. Follow him on Twitter. Um, Lonnie, what email if anybody want to reach out to you?
Yeah, just go to the website. It's connectgrp.com.
Yeah, the Connect. It's up on. They should be staring at it along with me. So, hey, buddy, listen. Thanks for everything. I'll see you next time in the city, and all the best of luck to you. I want a handwritten note next time I go to Mark's restaurant, and that.
You gotta lie and tell people it's your birthday or your anniversary or something.
Oh my God, I'm pouring it. I'm pouring it on anything I can do, and just get the guy with the red sweater out of there.
All right, dude. Much love.
All right, brother. I love you, man. Thanks. All right, buddy.